How goes it, ladies and gentlemen? Thanks for checking out Shinsen88 Gaming. We're taking another look at Lords of the Fallen today. That video I did a few days ago, or a couple weeks ago I guess, of a little mini review, got a decent amount of traction, at least for a small channel like mine. So I figured we would strike while the iron's hot and pump out a little bit more Lords of the Fallen, since people seem to enjoy it. So if you're like me, one of your favorite parts of any Souls-like, or at least any Souls-like that allows this, is setting up a bunch of custom armor sets or character designs. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. I've got 10 different ones, 5 male and 5 female, and we're going to be looking at some of the ones that I've come up with that I think are pretty neat. They're going to be divided up into a Radiant, an Infernal, an Umbral, and then 2 wild cards for each one. So you should have a decent variety regardless of what type of build you plan on using. I don't want to waste too much of your time, just a little bit. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. All right, number 1, we have the Teutonic-ish Knight. This is what I've run through most of the game using. It's basically what I use for my Strength Radiance build. And I think it looks pretty good. It definitely has that Teutonic Knight look with the helmet. And I just think overall it fits the theme of the game with a little bit of a Crusader thing going on. So let's go ahead and take a look at what you're going to need for this. You're going to need Tancred's Helm, Antique Hollowed Sentinel Armor, Holy Bulwark Gauntlets, and Crimson Rector Leggings. All those are pretty easily farmable or guaranteed. And then I have this particular armor tinked on all of them. Were you to take it off, that's what it would look like. It's not too bad. You can customize the color as you like, but I kind of like the orange. I think it fits pretty well. And that is pretty much it for that one. Like I said, my personal favorite and the one that I've been running through the game with. And we're going to do a fancy little zoom in on each of these. Ah, yeah. I mentioned this in my mini review, but I love the photo mode in this game. All right, number 2. The Disgorged Lord. This is obviously going to be your Infernal build. And it's kind of gross, kind of infernal. Definitely a little bit disgorged. And I think it's pretty neat. Get a little 360 view there. Yeah, it's pretty gross. Definitely fits the theme, though. So obviously you're going to want the Disgorged Viscera. That's one of the essentials here. This new armor from the DLC, Lord Gauntlets, or not DLC, but free update, and Conflagrant Seer Skirt. I have basically, I think no tinkts applied on this one. But you could use some if you want. Definitely would go well paired with some sort of infernal weapon. Although, we're not looking at weapons today, just armors. And let's go for our fancy zoom in. Oh yeah. I probably could have trimmed these down a little bit, but it's okay. We're going to go for a full dramatic effect. All right. Next, we have the Eldritch Horror. Or I can't believe it's not Cthulhu. Cthulhu? Cthulhu Fatagan? Anyways, this is something that you could definitely use for an Umbral sort of setup. Very weird, kind of creepy looking. Not much else to say about it, really. But we will do our little 360 here. So this one, like the last one, is going to be using a couple of the pieces from the new free updates. However, the Pilgrim Garb is an easy farm, and the Exiled trousers, Stalker trousers, can be bought or gotten as starting equipment. These are the tinkts that I'm using. The main thing is to color the weird void armor. Not too much else to that one. I think maybe dual Umbral swords would look pretty good with that build. Oh no. Okay, we're good. All right, one of my personal favorites, Dr. Plague, because Plague Doctor sounded too obvious. This is using that helm that drops from that one knight in the tower. I actually didn't have that hard of a time farming it, but it was one of the last pieces that I had to farm to get the All Armors achievement. But I think this one's pretty good. Definitely has a Plague Doctor vibe to it. You could pair this with the staff, or the cane weapon, and I think it would be pretty good. That's about it. The other cool thing about this one is you could actually, I mean, I've got this tinct on it, but if you wanted to throw the red one on, you can almost do a Dark Souls 1 cosplay, which that actually looks pretty good. That maybe even looks better. It doesn't quite look like a Plague Doctor anymore, but I don't know, I kind of like it. When we do our zoom in, though, we'll go back to the original color, just because. Dunmire's cane, by the way, is what I was thinking of. Ooh. And last but not least, for our male armor sets, it's I can't believe it's not Artorias. That was my first thought upon seeing the Harrower boss, was that, wow, that looks very much like Artorias. And I'm glad that we could do at least one cosplay build in this video. In fact, I always enjoyed doing those or still enjoy, doing cosplay builds in the Souls games, so it's nice to carry that over into this. And it actually is a fairly convincing Artorias. This is what I'm using. I've got the Vanguard helm because there isn't a perfect Artorias helm. In fact, I'll show you here that we could use this helm instead. The only problem is it looks a little bit more Artorias-ish in shape, but then you've got the face open, which doesn't quite match. And unfortunately with this one, I had to use the exclusive Silver Tinct in order to get the colors right. That was, I think, a pre-order bonus. Maybe you can buy it separately. I mean, I wouldn't pay money to get an armor color, but if you really want your Artorias set, there you go. Pair it with the big old greatsword, and I think you'll be ready. Yeah, I really let those go on too long, but oh well. All right, moving on to our female armor sets. I've got the White Priestess. You can see that some of these names are a little bit less creative than others, but it's fine. This one I think would look pretty decent for a Radiant build. It's got a nice, well, Priestess vibe to it, right? And the great thing about these as well is you really could mix in a lot of different gear as well, like, you know, change the headgear up, change the gauntlets and the legs up, and make some neat little variations. This is what I ended up with. You'll notice I covered the characters' faces in most of these. That's because I had a heck of a time in this game creating decent-looking characters. But the main issue here is that you're going to have to use the armor that you get from the secret boss. So, yeah, you're probably going to be using this one on New Game Plus or while replaying New Game Plus 0. But all in all, not too bad. Dang, I think we're slightly off center on this one. Oh boy. All right, not Blasphemous, because the headgear totally isn't just the headgear from Blasphemous. Not a game that I played a lot of, but has some peak art design. This one I think would look pretty good for an Infernal build, even though technically that headgear is supposed to belong to like more of a Radiant build. It's okay. Nobody really cares about Lords of the Fallen lore, I don't think. I could be wrong. But here's what you're going to need. Again, unfortunately, you can't get Damaroz's stuff until fairly late in the game. That's one of the unfortunate things in this game, is a lot of equipment is locked behind late game progression. But it's all good. Heck, I had to play through probably 5 times with my main character to get all the endings and quests because I kept making mistakes. But yeah, not too bad. All right, for our Umbral build, we've got the Starved Assassin. I think this one also looks pretty decent. Again, you're going to have to use the chess piece from the secret boss fight in the Umbral ending, so that's going to be a little bit of a pain, but this definitely has a little bit of an Assassin's Creed vibe to it, but also looks fairly umbral, for lack of a better term, so I think it'll work. Again, I think dual umbral swords would look pretty decent here, but you got plenty of options you could try out. It's actually one of my favorites, and I haven't even used it. I just came up with it for this video. So I guess we might have to do another playthrough. Anyways, here's what you're going to use. And for the tincts, I actually don't have any, but you could mess around with the colors. I tried a couple different options and it all looked pretty decent. And I hate to be overly critical, because I'm not going to go back and re-edit this, but that zoom in feels a little bit slow to me. Alright, next we have the Unfeathered Ranger, because we have the Black Feather Ranger, and this is sort of that, but without the feathers, which I think is very Bloodborne-esque. Of course, the original Black Feather Ranger armor is very Bloodborne-esque. But it's a nice little variant on that, I suppose. And really, you'd probably want to use this with like a... well, probably as a ranged build. Or a dex build, maybe. Sorry, agility build. I'm never calling it agility. I'm only going to call it dex. That's about all she wrote on that one. Fairly simple, but I think it looks good. And again, that chess piece is going to be a real pain to obtain, because that quest line is obnoxious. But hey, it is what it is. And last but not least, we have the Landsknecht. Landsknecht? I'm sorry, I don't speak German. But my immediate thought upon getting those two armors was like, yeah, that's what we're going with. Again, you could probably use this one on a male character. It would look just as good, if not better. But I think this would look good with like a Flamberge looking thing or a Zweihander. Yeah, that would be cool. Also, I have this paired with the little flower crown, but you could try a couple different options here. Like, for example, let's see. You could use, like, one of those helmets. Well, first of all, I'm actually not using any tincts except for on the gloves. But if you wanted to, you could use, like, well, maybe the hat. Not too bad. Or one of these helmets would go really well with it. Of course, it ruins the hairstyle, but, you know. Mess around with it. I think it's pretty good. Definitely needs a Flamberge, though. And our final zoom in of the video. Savor it while you can. And I didn't put a great deal of effort into the character's face, so don't pay attention to that. Alright everyone, well, I hope you enjoyed this quick little look at a few different armor sets that you might want to mess around with, or Lords of the Fashion, which is, I think, what we decided we would call it. I would love to hear from you what some of your favorite armor setups are. Like I mentioned, I do actually have all of the armors now. Took a little bit of farming, but not an insane amount. So I would be able to mess around with some of those. And if you would be interested, then I might be interested in creating a part 2, maybe taking a look at some of the ones that you have recommended. I don't know. If you think it would be interesting, let me know. Alternately, I may or may not do more Lords of the Fallen content. I do like this game quite a bit, but I'm not sure how much more interesting content I can make of it, other than maybe just doing like a Umbral ending playthrough or something. I haven't really enjoyed PvP that much, so eh. But yeah, basically just let me know if you're interested, and otherwise let me know what you thought of this one. I want to thank you all very much for watching. If you're interested in more Souls-like content, or Souls content, or other stuff, feel free to check out the channel. If not, then I hope you enjoyed this one. Like I said, I'll see you on the next video. Until next time, we're just going to finish our little romp through this area. Take care, and God bless. Bonk.